Hi, I'm Romi.
And I'm Nicole.
We are two businesswomen, two colleagues, two friends who had an idea and decided to do something with it. Over the past 2 years, we've built the Daily Drip, a media platform and community for the modern South Florida businesswoman.
From Palm Beach to South Beach, we've built an audience of thousands of local business owners, CEOs, founders, executives, and more. And we did it 100% organically.
Whether it's through our blog, weekly newsletter, social media, events, or even this podcast, our mission is to offer a daily drop of inspiration as you pursue your dreams.
People ask us all the time how we did it and why we did it. Join us as we bring you along our journey and the journeys of so many other incredible local businesswomen here on Her Pursuit. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Her Pursuit. My name's Nicole. I'm co-founder of the Daily Drip. I'm here with my partner in crime, Romi Wallach. And we are joined today by three incredible Daily Drip thought leaders. We have Susan Winograd with us, Kelly Tolliday with us, and Arianne Traverso. And we are here to talk about the role of health and wellness in business. And so I kind of want to kick off the conversation with just a general question to you three wellness professionals, because you all kind of are active in the wellness and health industry in different capacities and different ways. So I'm curious, what do you think the role of health and wellness is in business? What role does it play?
I mean, every.
Fair.
Well, and I say that because there's different aspects of life. I don't think just to me, to many people, right? Emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, if you want to go that way. And just understanding if all of us here who are entrepreneurs, when have you succeeded quickly or felt like when you're not feeling well? Never. I had a fight with my husband, or you're not going to have the great day. You're not going to come up with your brilliant ideas if your emotional state is, in the dumps, or if you woke up with a sore throat or with a headache. We're talking about optimal here, right? As entrepreneurs especially, or high achieving business owners. So every.
Fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those listening, I'm Kelly Tolliday. So I work in yoga and meditation, group travel, retreats. And so for me, they always say your health is your wealth, right? And so without you being in your optimal state, just like Ari just mentioned, your business is not going to thrive, and you're not going to feel as if you're giving, at least if you're in a service-based business, it's not really giving your clients the best that they deserve. They're paying good money to work with you. They're, wanting to be with you in your service. And if you're not feeling 100% yourself, they're going to feel that, and you're going to feel like you're not giving your absolute best. And it's just one of those things where, like Ari said, if you wake up with a sore throat, you're immediately thinking, how can I feel better? And you're not thinking about that email that you have to get back to. As soon as something starts to go downhill with your health, that is your number one. And so it's so important for us as professionals to make sure that that is our number one priority, so that we can continue to fill up over and over and over again for our clients, for our business, and just remembering that our business is just a small portion of who we are as a person, and our health is going to be with us a lot longer than what we're going to see the business potentially if we're lucky and we and we live for a really long age. So yeah, that's my take on that.
That's a really great point, Kelly. And for everyone listening, I'm Susan Winograd, the founder of Pelvic Core Rehab and Wellness. And for me, I would even take it a step further and say there's an integrity component to it. We all work in health and wellness, and we're helping people feel their best selves physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And we need to walk the walk and talk the talk in order to be able to help other people manifest that. I feel like there's this big buzzword that out there about manifesting. I'm going to manifest that. I'm going to put it into the universe. And that's really not how manifestation works, right? We have to do the work in order to make our goals happen. And as an entrepreneur, our work is embodying health and wellness physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally, in order to help our clients achieve that. So for me, personally, I want to feel my best physically, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, but I also know from an integrity perspective, I can't ask other people to do it if I'm not living that life.
I think the challenge is too, though, we know what we need to do. I would almost argue that most of you come in contact, I know what I need to do to be better, to feel better. But it's a very real challenge to be sitting there with demands and responsibilities, both with your business, like, and your family. And so it is, while it makes sense and all of this makes sense, I think, like, how do we really achieve this? Like, how do we do that? Because I struggle with it. Like, I think, like, last year my health went, like, way by the wayside. Like, it just was a non-factor in the sense that I couldn't prioritize it because there was just too many things that required it. And I was able to show up in my work doing certain things, but then I was falling through the cracks in other things. So, I'm curious how, like, you have to walk the walk, but it is very hard to kind of figure out how to actually do it, even though you know what you need to do.
That's such a good point, Romi. And what I would say is that's why we need help from other people. So I have mentors outside of my business that help me. Right now, I'm doing a self-discovery life mastery program with a mentor who's helping me figure that out, because I know that although I help other people do it, it's very, very hard to do it for yourself. So I will say this 100 times. Anybody who is successful in life and achieves their goals has a mentor. If you look at any person in any industry in life who is successful, I guarantee you that they have a mentor. So I think sometimes we expect too much of ourselves. It's so hard to do that, Romi, by yourself. And I think we need to recruit other people to help us and hold us accountable to that and give us strategies.
Oh, that is such a good point. And as I'm listening to all of you talk, and I'm listening to you, and you and I both kind of crashed and burned last year. We really did. We gave every ounce of everything we had to the Daily Drip, to the detriment of our personal relationships, our health, all the things. And, for me, I think what I learned in that whole experience was the health and wellness for me in my business and in my life is like the mirror, right? And if I am not feeling well physically or mentally, it's almost like the alarm or the flag saying you're doing too much, you're going too far, or in some cases your boundaries are shit. Like, you need to do something about it, whether it's with clients or with projects or with networking professionals or colleagues. And the inclination is to want to do, to want to say yes, to want to help, to want to take advantage of the opportunity, because God forbid you don't. And then will it come back again? And of course, we all know it does. There's a million opportunities. They're all around us. But in that moment, I end up on autopilot, and my default is yes. And so for me, health and wellness, and my particular health and wellness, is that mirror. Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just going to say that 100% when you said with the word boundaries. So our health for the most part, it's not going to be a crash and burn immediately, right? It's the universe, your health just starts throwing like a little pebble, like, oh, my lower back is kind of hurting, or, oh, my hair is slowly kind of starting to fall out, but maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe something's happening. Maybe it's my, that too. But it's like, maybe it's my shampoo. Maybe it's the Florida water. I don't know. So and then eventually those little pebbles turn into bigger rocks, and then it turns into a boulder, and you're taken down. And so it's really a lot of times for high achieving women and women who own their own businesses and are a lot of times when we're in that, like, when's the next opportunity going to come, that kind of scarcity mindset, we often see ourselves saying yes a lot and starting to lower our boundaries a little bit more because we don't want that momentum to end at the detriment, like you said, to our health and wellness. And so at the end of the day, it comes down to boundaries, and we're not used to placing those boundaries for our health and wellness. We would never cancel, for the most part, we would never cancel lunch with a potential client or with a friend or with a partnership, but we would cancel that acupuncture appointment. We would cancel that gym. We would cancel that swim lesson or whatever it is. So it's like holding that boundary to yourself takes time to flex that muscle, and it feels uncomfortable, and it feels like, but I have 5 other things I need to do, but I should be working. But really, that's the most important boundary that we could be setting for ourselves, because as we said, when we crash and burn, then what else? There's nothing else that we can do for our business.
What we learned, and I think what you're saying, the other piece I would add to that is the accountability. Like, we started to have conversations between us about like how bad we were doing physically, mentally, how all of that, and started to say, okay, like what are we going to do? And I would share something or Nick would share something. And we started like kind of holding each other accountable, like going for a walk in the morning and getting outside with the dog or whatever the case may be. But like even saying like, if we're going to talk about this and we're going to tell people that this is what they need to do, like we are certainly not the example right now, you know, like, and it was like pot kettle black too. Like I would talk to people, I'd be like, you have to take care of yourself as my eye is twitching incessantly and I don't sleep and all these other things are going on and I haven't worked out in X amount of days and I'm telling them what they need to do. And that's why I say it's so hard because we know, but doing it is so hard. And I think accountability, having someone to help kind of keep you on track.
And it brings back to kind of what you said, Ari, which was it's everything, right? So when you treat it like it's a critical component, when you treat it like you treat a KPI or a marketing strategy, you know, like I would be on top of my sales team. Did you hit these KPIs? Did you hit your metrics? You know, the discipline of doing, right? It's like, do we approach our own health and wellness? Do we keep the acupuncture appointment because we treat it as a critical component of driving productivity, driving fulfillment, driving, overall wellness and the life that you want. And I do think, Kelly, you're right. It's a slow burn. Burnout is like this slow thing that just creeps up on you and you're just like going about your business thinking, I hate the word just. If I could just do this, let me just answer this email. Let me just, I hate just.
So in pelvic core rehab and wellness, we call them whispers, right? Like and we call them check engine lights. Our bodies communicate with us. So it might start as, not feeling rested when you wake up, or your hair's falling out, or you start feeling like you can't eat without having digestive issues. And if we ignore those whispers, they become blaring, megaphones in our ears, and then it's much harder to peel back the layers. And I want to loop it back to what you said, Nicole, in that if we wait too long and we don't nip our health and wellness in the bud and stay on top of it, then I don't even think that we can see those opportunities that are in front of us. I know that's happened to me when I feel like I've been burnt out, and you all here know that, this is real for all of us. It is very, very hard to see those opportunities in front of us because we're truly not living in the present moment. We're worrying about what happened yesterday or what we need to do tomorrow. So I know for myself, when I'm not on top of how I'm truly feeling and taking care of myself and making sure that I go to that yoga class instead of worrying about that KPI, which maybe Nicole and I have to have a meeting about because maybe I'm going to too many yoga classes, but I know that I'm missing opportunities because I'm not truly seeing what's in front of me. So I think it's everything, Ari. You're right.
I have a question for you, Susan. You do work with a lot of women, men as well, but you do get a lot of women who come to you with some of those symptoms that you mentioned. Yeah. And I'm curious, how do you help them like overcome some of those symptoms? Like, can you talk to us about what they're feeling and how that's impacting the body physically, mentally?
I love that question, Nicole, and that is part of the basic foundational education that we go through with everybody, right? Because I truly believe in our practice in pelvic core rehab and wellness, we view everything from a biopsychosocial lens, which means that you cannot have physical health without having emotional, psychological health, right? There's two parts of our nervous system. We have the fight, flight, freeze part of our nervous system, and we have that rest, digest, repair part of that nervous system. So, and pain, stress, inflammation lives in that fight, flight, freeze part of it, and the manifestation the healing, the wellness takes place in that rest, digest, repair part of our nervous system. So when I meet people and they're feeling stressed, they're feeling that pit in their stomach all the time, they have that brain fog, they're blaming everything on a hormone imbalance, like that stubborn weight loss or the painful periods. To me, I'm very functionally oriented. So, I hate it. And this is my pet peeve, like full disclosure. I hate it when people say, just relax. Because if we could just relax, everybody would do that. So,
that's what I was supposed to do.
Yes. If everybody could do that, we'd all be like, yes, right. We'd all be oming all day, right? So I feel like I'm very practically oriented. I give people practical strategies. I call them snacking strategies because you can take them into your everyday life and practice them at the drop of a hat for a few minutes and feel better, like breathing strategies, right? Box breathing, alternate nostril breathing. Those are things that we can use to calm our nervous system, bring us back into the present day moment. Natural sunlight first thing in the morning, or something as simple as delaying your coffee for an hour. So I feel like the strategies that I give both men and women are taking bite-sized strategies that they can then stack, like habit stacking, and build them into every single part of their day to sort of check in with themselves and make sure that they're doing okay and bring themselves back into the present moment. Does that answer your question, Nicole?
Yeah, that was good.
I have so what I think is interesting, and I'm curious what you guys are going to think about this, but I think as women in particular, and especially all of us here are actually working moms as well, there's this psychology, I think, and I don't know, maybe it's just the way I was raised, where we sort of ignore or we tend to deny what is going on because suck it up, right? There's no time for this. I don't have time to be sick, so grab the Tylenol, pop it back and get back to it. Or, I've been having chest pain, but you know what? There's a lot of stress and I don't have time to worry about it and I got to keep going. And so I think about this a lot because on the one hand, you should be intuitive listening to your body, but we live in this crazy high-paced, high-performing, high-achieving sort of mental, I'm building a business or whatever the case may be, that you deny a lot of it or you shove it down.
Or if you
And
do
does that
that,
come
you're
up?
like a badass.
Right.
Right? It's become normal.
You're wearing a badge of honor for killing yourself.
It's cool to say I'm so busy. So yeah, we're people, I feel like everybody that walks through our door says that. And my mantra is that you can only show up for your business. You can only show up for the people in your life, the people that depend on you, the people that you love, as much as you show up for yourself. I know I just came off of 8 days of Passover and I had 12 people in my house for 8 days. And I know that if I didn't take care of myself, I would have been a witch. So I feel like we can say, I don't have time for that, but you're not going to enjoy life. No one in your life is going to enjoy life. So I think we need to be a little bit selfish about it, Romi, and say, if I truly want to be my best, if I truly want to be the best that I can in business and be the best that I can for the people in my life that depend on me, I absolutely have to have time and make time to take care of myself. It's not a luxury. It's not a luxury. It should be a priority.
But I think paying attention, though, right? Not denying or ignoring the signs, the little pebbles or the...
And saying that it's okay that you feel that way.
Here's the problem, though, right? Is that those little whispers, like you said, they start to become the new normal. Right. And so then you don't realize that you're actually not feeling well or great. Right? Forget well, feel great. And so then you start kind of just getting used to this and thinking, well, this is how I am. And you don't see it as, oh, I'm not feeling great because this is how I am and everything's fine. So I think the education piece of having our mile markers of what does feeling great mean? Is it waking up with energy? Is it having digestion? Because I think nowadays, people are just living on this go, 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 go that, oh, I had to eat lunch standing up. I do this a lot. So I'm, having conversation with my husband, but at least we realize, I'm we should sit. Right. We should sit, right? Let's do that.
I work from home.
And chew. Yeah. But then it's...
home and eat at my desk.
Right. So So it is having kind of the mirror and saying, like, what is my version of feeling great? Because it's going to be different than Kelly's, it's going to be different than Susan's. Like, we're all so different. And sometimes I think what's happening is that we're relying on social media, we're relying on so many of these like external factors to tell us what we should be doing.
Right.
Oh, you know what I mean? Well, don't eat meat. Well, you should only eat meat. Don't eat vegetables. They're bad for you. Actually, vegetables are a source of fiber. And you're getting all this information that you're like, well, I'm just not going to do anything.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
analysis paralysis. Yeah. So I think it's also a good conversation to, you know, for those of us who are, and okay, maybe we are super busy. Like, you know, you have two kids, I have one, and I don't want to be the mom that's like, you know, putting herself in the back burner because I have to take care of everybody else and then I have to take care of all my clients and my 3 businesses. Like, so I think this is a good conversation piece of it's okay. Like, what are those mile markers that we should like, do we check in once a year? Like, do we like do a quarterly health check? Like, what does that look like? So we don't just keep becoming like, oh, this is how I feel and this is okay, it's working.
Or blame it on age, blame it on all these things. You're right. Like, you just start to feel that way for so long. It's normal for you.
But I want to take it, I'm sorry, Kelly. I want to take it a step further and say that, and not to get so neuroscience-y, but our bodies, our nervous systems are super efficient. So we actually create those stress pathways, those fight-flight pathways, and they start going on automatic because our brains can't think about what it should be doing all the time. So we are actually creating those automatic pathways. So Ari, I love what you said is that we have to check in, because just like we can create those stressful or automatic pathways that are maybe not serving us, we can also create new pathways that are healthier, that are really serving us much better. And I think that we need to have regular check-ins, but to me, I think they need to be daily. And that's where my morning routine comes in. I think if you wait quarterly or annually, then, you know, it's like what Kelly said, the whisper starts becoming, or that pebble has already become a boulder, and you can certainly undo it, but it's going to take a lot more work and a lot longer. So I think we constantly have to be working to make sure we're creating those automatic pathways that are serving us.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because it can feel clunky. I think I said before, when you start setting those boundaries of, okay, I'm going to go to that yoga class. I'm going to go swim. I'm going to go see the acupuncturist. It can feel really clunky to put your phone aside, not just do one more email, not just do one more social post, but the important part after you do the thing that you know is going to feel good for you is take a moment and sit in the feeling afterwards. Sit in that feeling. Oh my God, that Shavasana felt so good. I feel so relaxed in acupuncture. Really take a moment to lock that feeling into your body so you create a stronger, more memorable anchor point. So next time you have to say no to just one more email, to just one more social post, your body's remembering, but wait, this is going to feel really, really good. And you just build that memory, and it takes time working with professionals like Susan, like ourselves, with coaches, with therapists. Like, it helps you to really start unlocking that, really like unraveling the grip that this urgency of our business has on us. And it's important work that we all do, not to put that aside, but it's even more important for us to remember to just keep on reminding ourselves that we are important. We're going to get thrown around all around this world saying, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. And we really have to put our hand on our bodies and remind ourselves, like, we are important. I am important. I deserve this. And it takes time to rewrite that narrative in our minds and our nervous systems and our bodies. So yeah, it's a process. Exactly.
I love what you just, yes. And I you know, sometimes people say something and they think it was so inconsequential, but you'll never forget it. I'm going to give a shout out to Maxine Schwartz, who's the owner of Evolution Yoga. I've been practicing with her for years. And I remember years ago, I'm sure she doesn't even remember that she said this, but at the end of a class, someone walked out before Shavasana and she said, oh my goodness, I cannot believe they just did that. It's like baking a batch of chocolate chip cookies and not not putting it in the oven. You just missed the boat on the whole practice. I know, not a healthy choice, but I remembered it. And let me tell you, in yoga now, Romi, I never not bake the cookie dough. I sit there and I relish in that shavasana, and I will never, ever forget that. Like, sometimes we do it because we think we're supposed to do it, but we're missing the boat with the intention of it. So I love like sitting and feeling in the moment, and that's a skill. That takes practice. That's what I teach my clients, Nicole, that meditation, mindfulness, being present in the moment, it is a skill that needs to be practiced in high volume all the time in order to make it permanent and integrated into our minds and body.
All good points. And Kelly, I have a question for you now. For your retreats, is this what you think people are coming and motivated for to get? Are they looking for like a shot in the arm, like a reset? Like what is it that your average retreat participant is coming to you for?
Yeah. So with our Business Rising Nature retreats, we have travel experiences all around the world as well as locally. So we really do see people from all different industries, mostly women, I would say, and actually mostly business women in certain industries. We see a lot of women in the legal industry and healthcare, a lot of nurses. And 9 times out of 10, we get somebody who's just like, I'm on the verge of burning out. I need to just take a step away from everything, reevaluate what's important to me, just like the bare basics of health and wellness. And so that's why, there's retreats for specific themes. There's yoga retreats that are going to dive deep really into yoga. There's retreats that do really deep trauma work, healing. And then there's our retreats, which is a really good mix of being able to do a lot of personal development work, taking the time and space for yourself to just do a bit of a reset and just be like, wait a minute, once I take away the work emails and take away the 3-year-old asking for their 10th snack for the day and take away, all the things that we have on our plate all the time, you get to actually ask yourself, like, what's important to me? What is missing? What can I do to really enrich my life in a powerful way while having a kick-ass travel experience in a place that you've always wanted to go to? And that's really it. Like the core of it is people needing the space to really ask themselves those questions and maybe learn a new breathwork technique and learn something from a new culture. I remember in our Greece retreat, we had some amazing workshops, amazing classes, but the main thing people took away from it was, whoa, these Greek people know how to slow down. Like our whole group would go out to dinner and within like 15 minutes scarfing our food down, we're like, where's the waiter? He's not bringing our check. What's happening? And he's like, oh, you guys want to leave so soon? Oh, okay. Yeah. And you just look around and you're like, oh, I could just slow down a little bit. And that's a completely different pace of life than we're used to. So oftentimes it's really bringing in the lessons from the culture that we go to and giving people that time and space to really ask themselves questions that they haven't had the chance to ask. Because if they don't even have time to sit down while they eat for lunch, they don't have time to ask like, how can I make my life 1% better? Like that's not a question that we're asking ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So these retreats are an amazing way to have that reset, especially when you're working with someone like yourself, Susan, where you're doing that daily work, you get this big reset or this refresh, this reawakening to your life, and then you go back home and you can reintegrate with someone like Susan to be like, okay, these are the daily steps to keep that going. So yeah.
I love what you do because just like you just said, I do it on that daily basis, minute to minute, but I love sending people to someone like you who now can elevate it and supercharge it and really take it to the next level. And Ari, maybe that's the quarterly thing. Maybe we all need to go on a quarterly retreat.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
I think the key to that piece is that, and I can only speak for myself anyway, but for me to properly relax or like connect with myself, I have to remove myself from my environment. Like I will not relax at home. It just isn't going to happen. There's something that can be done at any given moment. But when I find myself in a situation where I've been able to kind of remove myself and I can't do the laundry because it's not here and I can't do this because it's not here, and all of a sudden I have no options but to focus on me or to take a minute to take in whatever's going on, that like even just a day retreat or a day at a yoga expo, like having, like taking a chunk of time rather than running in and out of the yoga class. You soak it in, but an hour later, you're in the thick of it again. So I think like when you take little mini breaks.
Well, that's why we created the mini retreats. So we do our multi-day, 4-day, 5-day, 6-day retreats, usually somewhere international, sometimes here domestically. But in 2021, when everything was halted because of COVID, I've always wanted to create a space where people came to yoga and then actually hung out after and had a cup of tea. And because you've opened your body, you've calmed your nervous system down through the breath. You're relaxed from shavasana. Now it's time to that's the perfect prime time to have really deep conversations, not just with others, but with yourself. So we created this 3 to 4 hour mini experience where it was like having a retreat for yourself, not having to go overseas to get that. But we do the practice. We have coffee and tea after. There's a group discussion. There's a sound healing. And those used to be monthly, where people got that monthly drop of having that experience of being able to take that time for themselves. Now we do it quarterly. But yeah, it's that space for you to just really reevaluate and remember, oh wait, like I said, I'm important. This is important.
I love that, Kelly. And what I would say is the best time to get healthy is when you're feeling good, right? And Romi, I love you so much, and I'm going to get real with you for a minute, okay? When you say, I cannot relax at home, there's so much to do, I need to remove myself, to me, that tells me that is someone that has to learn how to relax at home. It's a skill, right? Like, we can't live in a way where we can't pause for a minute at home and have a strategy to say, the laundry's going to freaking wait. I'm going to take a minute to like put a weighted blanket on myself or go outside and gaze at the sunshine.
So that I'm good at. So
Or paddle across an ocean.
But I will say like that. So for me, relaxation it involves movement, right? Like I don't relax just sitting around, but I find it relaxing to put on a weighted vest and walk around the neighborhood or be on the water or go to the beach but like, I need to, like, movement for me is relaxing. You know, sitting still is not.
And I think this is just the perfect place to wrap up this conversation and set the stage for part 2 of this conversation, which is going to be all about strategies. Strategies and understanding yourself to the point where you can implement and integrate ways to have health and wellness every day as a business owner, as a mother, as a working mother, as a wife, and all the hats that we wear. So I'm really glad, Susan, you ended it on that. And Romi, you shared some of yours, because in the next episode, we're going to talk about real, tangible tactics, habits, strategies that you can start integrating into your everyday. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you guys for sharing so many insights. And we will see you all back here on the next episode of Her Pursuit.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Her Pursuit. You can catch a new episode every other Wednesday. Please don't forget to subscribe or follow so that you don't miss out on any of the good stuff.
We love bringing you free content and value to help inspire and motivate you. So if you enjoyed this episode, throw us a thumbs up, leave us a rating, a review, and send this to a friend who you think would enjoy it. Your support is so important to us, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So thanks for listening. Talk to you in 2 weeks.